Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. Kind of live from David Ellison's daddy-sized failed takeover temper tantrum.
Oh, I don't want to be inside that.
It's a Business Pants Friday show here at December 19th Studios featuring analyst Howle Matt Moscardi. On today's weekly wrap-up, BP goes both woke and anti-woke.
Yeah, how'd they do it?
Trucks go woke, or maybe just truckers go woke. I don't know, something about
Maybe
that.
both.
And Sam Altman says more pretend stuff.
So another uplifting show about the great state of corporate America and the world.
Yeah. Our show today, speaking of which, is being sponsored by Free Float Analytics, freefloatanalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, performance for free.
I love them.
Now, we talked about this in our last show. They're working on something that they're calling right now a scorecard, but I don't know if that's the right name for it. But anyway, it's kind of a new modern way of presenting the data, presenting a lot more data, contextualizing the data better. And I'm noticing that a lot of the data I'm looking at on this yet to be released tool, maybe people can buy the tool if they really want it, I don't know. But it's also, a lot of the data is more current, which means that we're going to get a big update soon of all the data, I'm guessing, right?
Yes, as soon as we can, yes, so what is what they said. Yeah, it's real good. They added in a director vote predictor into the new scorecardy thing. There's cool stuff. Let's do the news though, because
story of the week,
honestly, story of the week. I hate everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate everything.
I have very old-fashioned story of the weeks. These are
just
classic,
actual stories that happened.
Yeah,
this
just
week.
big classic stories. The first one out of BP. We cover how many? I feel like we cover CEO turnover at BP every 6 months. So this is actually the fourth
in 6 years or something, right?
Yeah. So I don't know how any of these. If there are board members who've survived this entire tenure, I don't know how, because this is an embarrassment. Can we just say that? The latest, but the latest is an interesting twist. Although this is what it takes to find to find companies willing to hire women who are extremely qualified. They're always qualified, overqualified usually. It takes this much amount of failure to put them on the glass cliff, right? Because this is already kind of a tenuous position. I mean, to be the fourth CEO in 6 years, it's already a dangerous position. But it takes this much failure, I'm saying, for BP to hire the first ever woman leader of a big oil giant. Her name is, I should know this.
Meg O'Neill.
Meg O'Neill, again, is buried in the headlines. Meg O'Neill, she comes from an Australian firm called Woodside Energy. She replaces Murray Auchincloss, who was in the role for less than 2 years. Murray replaced a guy who didn't disclose his relationship with an employee.
Bernard
right?
Looney. Bernie Looney.
But a lot of this is wrapped up in the fact that is really about BP's pivot away from green energy.
Yeah, is it about that though?
I don't really know, but this is how they would describe her. She's a hard-nosed outsider who has faced fierce resistance from climate activists at Woodside, but she's come into BP to kind of do some manly oil and gas shit, right? But listen, but I want to talk about BP because BP is fascinating.
Do we have to? Okay.
So they're bringing in this real hard-nosed oil lover, oil drinker, gas guzzler, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because I don't want to slow the show down, Matt, but I don't really know what's changed in the last 4 or 5 years that suggests to BP that we should completely pivot back to oil and gas.
Didn't Murray actually say that they had pivoted back to oil and gas already?
Yes, but I'm just saying, I don't really know what's happened in their world to suggest that they think that
they're not pivoted enough, or
that they can't make money in renewables,
in something else.
I mean, come on. This is. But anyway, let's just talk about BP from a governance perspective because they're kind of fascinating. Unfortunately, they're British, so maybe they're a bit of an outlier because non-U.S. companies, sometimes they're better put together than.
Well, it
US
is nice to
companies.
look at their board and see everybody with less than 10 years tenure because that's the rule.
And maybe this. Okay, let's just talk about what I found here. Even after Pamela Daley stepped down in July, she's the director. This board still currently has 43% female board influence, which is
it's a lot.
quite high. The interim CEO is a woman, Carol Howle. The CFO is a woman. I have her name, Kate Thomson. The new CEO will be a woman. The EVP Customers and Products is a woman. The Chief Human Resources Officer, no surprise, is a woman. And then they also have 2 executive vice presidents who are men of color. Out of the team of leadership, 8 people, only 2 are white dudes.
Yeah.
Board is female, strong. It's a pretty fascinating.
Yes, woke.
Right, and maybe it's not woke because it's England, because it's Europe. I don't know, but it's a kind of a fascinating oxymoron going on over there at BP. But I will repeat that it took 4 CEOs in 6 years, tons of strife, tons of market problems to even get to a woman to put her on this glass cliff. So who knows? I mean, maybe she'll last for a while. Maybe we'll be reading the 5th CEO in 7 years. But this is what's going on at BP. You look like you're about to say something pithy.
I have, there's nothing pithy here. I'll come back to this.
Okay,
but I hate that we're celebrating the first woman who's the CEO of a major oil company, and the conditions under which she's the CEO of a major oil company are basically it's a nightmare, right? It's like they can't find a CEO, and they're the worst performing of the major oil companies, and this is we have to celebrate it. But it's like she's not only is Meg O'Neill eminently qualified, like more than qualified, but I wonder if they had found Meg O'Neill prior to Murray, or the fact that Bernard Looney got axed for having a relationship that he wasn't supposed to have with one of his subordinates, right? Like, would we be in this position at all? Like, would we need to celebrate the first when it's clearly a glass cliff?
Yeah, this is why I'm okay with it in the sense that I might not agree with her, what she's going to do at BP. But hey, any female leadership that is successful anywhere is fine with me, in the sense that hopefully people won't be so scared. But listen to this headline. BP woke agenda axed as it hires first female CEO and doubles down on fossil fuels. Now, wait, that's confusing, no?
I know.
I thought all female hires these days were automatically DEI, automatically woke.
I'm confused.
That's a confusing one, right? That's confusing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's writing headlines anymore. Let's
move on to another classic story from big companies. Warner Brothers Discovery Board rejects rival bid from Paramount. This one's getting a lot of press, mostly because all media and big tech companies just get a ton of coverage.
Well, no. This one in particular because there's a bunch of nepos involved. Right?
Yeah, I mean, this one is
nepo center.
I didn't even know how to paraphrase this story, but it looks like the board of directors at Warner Brothers they're really into Netflix. Let's just say, and part of the problem is David Ellison, because he went there basically begging and pinky promising that my daddy will, if anything goes wrong, my daddy has the money, so don't worry about it. And Warner Brothers
saying that, yeah.
Yes, and Warner Brothers was like, actually, no, you're wrong, because the money is held up in trusts, and we don't actually know that you have access to any of this money, you dumb nepo baby. I just can't believe that this is what happens at these kind of companies.
I mean, the order of ops here is like when Baby Ellison made the bid, right, for Paramount to buy. Paramount is like a $15 billion company, and they're making a $90 billion bid on Warner Brothers, or so Paramount doesn't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
So obviously he's using daddy's money, but when they actually did the documents that got signed to, say they had the money to buy this thing, they put in the documents the daddy trust. Now, the daddy trust is called a revocable trust, which means like he can revoke the money in the trust. Like Larry Ellison could just take the money out.
Would if he felt like it.
It's a black box. He could take the money out, put it in a different trust any day, any way. He could do whatever he wants with that money because it's daddy's money. But David, nepo baby Ellison, is going around saying, like, are you serious? My dad's got the money, man. Yeah. Just give me the fucking company.
I hate
like,
this
it's
so much.
such a baby thing.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers, I mean, rightly or wrongly, if you're a shareholder, you're going to get to vote on this eventually. Like, Warner Brothers, the board is like, no, you have to have you have to actually show the money. You can't be like, no, I swear I've got it. Like otherwise, like Gus, who I just saw on Cumbie Farms, could say, I've got the money to buy that company. I swear it. Like, come on, get real, baby.
Not to mention that, to your point, Netflix its market cap is like a $500 billion, right?
I mean, Netflix gave them all of the financing details and where all the money's coming from, and like full lists that they can account for. The board's doing its normal job. It's going through and being like, money we know is there and money we don't know if daddy decides. Because if Oracle, like there's a AI bubble crash between now and when this thing would close 18 months from now, daddy may not have the money anymore.
Well, Trump is doing everything, and that's the next story, is doing everything he can to keep Larry Ellison still relevant. But how about, what do you make of this sub-story? It looks like baby Ellison promised CEO David Zaslav, current CEO of Warner Brothers,
yeah,
that he would make roughly $600 million in shares and get a huge compensation package if this went through. And then Zaslav responded that it would, quote, "It would be inappropriate to discuss any such arrangements at that time," end quote. Do you think that's because he just wants to go with Netflix, or what do you think about that quote?
No, that is when the lawsuit happens later on. He can't possibly have written down, that sounds super good. I'm so glad you're buying me off with $500 million in shares and money. Like, that sounds awesome sauce. I'm going to tell my board. Right?
Because he wouldn't survive anyway, right? I'm assuming that he would be gone. Whoever buys.
Talk about the greatest fail up in
Warner
history.
Brothers, yeah.
Warner Brothers, like,
the whole thing is a joke.
They destroyed HBO's brand value by like making it Max and like doing all these stupid decisions. And David Zaslav's going to end up being like one of the wealthiest people in media. Because nepo baby Ellison wants this company.
Not to mention that when you really look at the properties that Paramount controls, we're talking about like legacy media here. It's hard to understand the future of a company like Paramount. Well, they own things like Nickelodeon and MTV. It's just like, what is the future of Paramount? I mean, I can see why baby Ellison is sort of desperate to just acquire more, because he knows how much of it's going to be failing. Right?
It's clearly not his track record of turning around Paramount so far.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it's just buy some
the
other
more
shit.
things your dad can buy you, the more chances that one of them might kind of break through, right, and make you some money. Because that seems to be the way a nepo baby of a CEO founder would act, which is like, give me 100 things and maybe I won't ruin all 100 of them.
I'm waiting for the lawsuit. So we know that Newsmax, this is going to seem like a tangent, but it's not. We know that Newsmax sued Fox News for having an ideological monopoly. This is not a joke. They actually sued Fox News, claimed that Fox News had a monopoly, and it was a monopoly on conservative thinking in media.
How does that monopoly work, though? Who's forcing people to watch that?
Well, isn't this the ultimate conservative power grab? Like, we hear all about how media's woke and biased and, leftist and all these lefties. And then, if you're anti-Semitic, it's like the Jews run the media and whatever.
Yep.
We are about to be in a situation in which the Ellison family would own TikTok, Paramount, and could own Warner Brothers Discovery, which is basically almost every channel you see on TV. Disney, which is not exactly...
Nobody watches TV anymore, do they? I don't know.
Paragon... Well, streaming too. Disney, which is not exactly the paragon of woke anymore. They own some of it. And then CBS,
David Ellison just hired Barry Weiss to de-wokify CBS News,
So
right?
the news there is, and Fox News is
She
the
was
most watched. Like,
She was just interviewing Erica Kirk. She had a town hall with Erica Kirk.
what are we actually saying that do we not actually have a sort of conservative ideological monopoly on media? Like, Meta is where people get a lot of their media, like Facebook, Instagram,
Sure. We at least have a
YouTube.
corporate, at least wherever you fall on this discussion, whether you think it's like to the left or to the right, what we do know is that it's controlled by corporations, right? That
Yes.
we do know. So
by like
so in that
seven
sense,
white dudes.
yeah. So in that sense, it is. You're right. It is absolutely one single point of view, right? The left will cry that it's controlled by the right. The right will cry that it's controlled by the left. But
Except that, like, left or right, we
Controlled
are
by
correct
money.
in saying it's
Corporations.
controlled by a few white guys. That's
yeah,
it.
we
it's
know
not a
yes,
different thing.
And we know from corporate behavior and from corporate giving and from the executives, we all know that actually does tip to the right. But yeah, that's a whole nother story.
But it's the people. It's like Larry Ellison's going to own like 40% of the media market by the time this thing is done because he's buying his baby son
Which
a
is
new
crazy.
jet plane, right? Like it's a Christmas present.
Which is all the more outrageous to put the control of media into the hands of someone who got rich selling what, like cloud soft. I don't even know. What does Oracle do again?
Like internet,
Right.
like plugs. And
I mean, this family
like,
shouldn't be controlling media empires to begin with. Oh, let's move on. That's the second story of the week. Third one that you already hinted at, another good old fashioned one. Speaking of Ellison, this is all about Ellison. Everything's about Ellison and Trump. TikTok, this is the stupidest thing ever, really, this whole TikTok story. TikTok signs agreement to create new U.S. joint venture. So 45% of the company will be owned by either Oracle, which is Larry Ellison, Silver Lake, which is your buddies over there.
my buddies.
Yeah. Egon
Durbin.
And then MGX, which is a MGX from Abu Dhabi. I don't know how they. When did this start happening?
Qatar bought a new Air Force One.
I know, but
for Trump,
the whole thing is just weird. I'm sorry.
To get in the action.
I thought we were like America first with everything. Even like Jared Kushner, who was Trump's son-in-law, who is now pulled out of the whole Warner Brothers, Paramount, Netflix nonsense. He was working with a Saudi firm.
Yeah. They were using
I'm just
Saudi,
saying, like the
Middle
amount
Eastern
of
money.
The amount of hypocritical spin in all of this is nonsense. So this is really just. So let me ask you this: is the TikTok thing? Is it about hating China? Is it about creating a fake, false Cold War with China, or is it about enriching all of Trump's friends, or is it all of the above?
No,
because why are we doing this? What?
There's no China. China has always been a boogeyman. We've said this from the literal
So why are we
beginning.
doing this? How is
when
this being
Zuckerberg
allowed?
would say like we have to be aware because it was 4 or 5 years ago. Zuckerberg was saying we have to be aware of China, right? Like, and it's not China. China's not the problem. It is you, Mark Zuckerberg. It is you and the 5 fucking dudes who want all the things. It is basically a bunch of greedy white guys. That's it. That's the whole thing. There's not another thing. And frankly, if we're going to worry about a thing, like we talked about Zuckerberg as being China, like his own China, right? Like he's dual class shares. He owns
Absolutely.
52%
All the men,
of the vote, right?
All the men you're referring to are.
Larry Ellison's the same thing. If we want to be worried about something, has anybody ever looked at Oracle's board? Oracle, Larry Ellison is the executive chair of Oracle's board. He's also the majority shareholder of Oracle. So it makes sense that he, runs the company. Not only that, though, Safra Catz was the CEO of Oracle. She just became executive vice chair. But she's not the only executive vice chair. There's another executive vice chair. So Oracle's governing structure has executive chair, guy who tells everyone what to do, Larry Ellison. Co-executive vice chairs, and 2 co-CEOs on this,
which is
of the company on
which
the
is
board.
what just his cheeky way of saying I'm in control here because it's a leadership.
What
mess.
the fuck are we doing? Like, is that like that's the governing structure? That's everybody's like. Isn't this like the joke is like everybody is a vice president inside every single company. It doesn't matter if you just got hired, you're a vice president. The joke at Oracle is everyone's executive vice chair. Like this is stupid. This is not how you run a company. It's one guy. Stop with the fake titles. That's what's happening with all these purchases. It's one guy.
And to your point, 2 of these 3 top stories so far involve Larry Ellison somehow. The fourth big story of the week. We don't cover this a lot. We try not to be political, but I thought it was worth including because you keep seeing some of the names that we cover here at Free Float Analytics that exist in our database or we've talked about in the past. But the House, the Department of Justice, the Epstein files are due to be released today. I don't know if it's who's controlling that. They're going to, of course, be heavily redacted. The Democrats in the House keep releasing letters and photos. But here's the point. Here's why I'm including this as the fourth story of the week. Because, oh boy, did I wrestle and fight with a bunch of AIs this morning trying to get a list of these people. Like it really like was. I almost feel like it was trying to hide something or just wasn't playing along. But I compiled a list of all the people in our universe who are associated so far with these Epstein, with Jeffrey Epstein, with his island, with the pedophilia, with the rape, with the photos, with the everything. Here we go. Here's a list. And I'll start with Donald Trump because, of course, as to your point, this is the most important part of this whole story. And Trump showed up in the TikTok story. He showed up in the Warner Brothers story because he says that he's going to have the final word over who buys Warner Brothers. And really, he's even kind of a part of the BP story. I mean, it's he's kind of leading the world against woke and against renewables. But here's the quick list of all the names I could find who are associated with the Epstein files and all the Epstein stuff. Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Microsoft co-founder, Sergey Brin, Google co-founder, Richard Branson, Virgin Group founder, Larry Summers, we talked about a lot. He most recently of the OpenAI director, Salar Kamanjar, former YouTube CEO, Sultan Ahmad bin Sulayem, he is chair and CEO of DP World, Emirati businessman, Lex Wexner, founder of L Brands, Leon Black, co-founder and former CEO of Apollo Global Management, Tom Pritzker, executive chair, Hyatt Hotels, Glenn Dubin, hedge fund manager, co-founder of Highbridge Capital, Ron Barron, founder and chair of Barron Capital Management, Josh Harris, co-founder of Apollo Global Management. He owns like the Sixers, the Devils, the Washington Commanders. And then finally, banking heir Ariana de Rothschild, CEO of Edmund de Rothschild Group. So I just wanted a place to put this. It's important. It's interesting. Make of it what you want.
Well, the thing I'll make of it is just like an hour ago, the number 2 at the Justice Department came out on Fox News and said they'll release some of the files.
Oh, they lost some in transit.
He said they want to be sure that they don't have the victims' names in the files. I'm sure it's the victims' names they're worried about, and not Donald Trump's name that's all over the file.
Here's another reason why I decided to compile this list, and I'm sure it's even incomplete because it was a struggle to get all these names together, is that we have covered so many stories recently of CEOs losing their jobs just because of not reporting relationships at companies. And they might have been completely, I'm sure they were all completely consensual relationships. And they're losing their jobs, and yet, there you go.
Well, there was a big story in the New York Times yesterday. The woman who was in the Coldplay concert, has basically been blasted with some of the worst vitriol. She can't find a job.
I haven't really followed this story. Yeah. Remind me about this story. She was having an affair with the CEO, and she was the head of human resources.
She was the head of human resources. She was caught on
and he was the CEO.
Kiss cam. He was the CEO. They were caught on like the Kiss cam, basically canoodling.
And they both were both married to other people.
They were both married to other people. Apparently, like her husband was there with somebody else also. Like, I don't know. Like there was a lot of rumors around it. But the end result was, he
people
left and she left. and she's gotten all the anger, right?
Well, he hasn't gotten any anger. That's what you're saying.
I mean, the story didn't talk about like the level of anger he's gotten.
Yeah.
But if you're a white man in America and you haven't reported yourself as discriminated to the EEOC, which is a new story this morning that they're begging white men to say they've been discriminated against.
Yeah, that's no joke, actually. Yeah.
That's not a joke. That's a story that broke this morning. Then actually, you probably aren't getting as much harassment for, having sex with, we don't even know if they had sex, but having any sort of relationship with, a female employee.
Highly juvenile and childish times. Give me a vote on
Speaking
story
of
of the
juvenile
week.
and childish times, story of the week. It's hard to choose Warner Brothers again. It's just such nepo baby stuff. And the TikTok agreement is kind of like we knew it was coming. I just hate.
I hate seeing it in print, though. I hate seeing the actual agreement. I hate seeing Silver Lake and Oracle and Abu Dhabi's MGX. I hate it all. It's so stupid.
And like these are the same companies that like broke up Twitter and like and gave it to Elon Musk.
Not to mention I hate TikTok. But yeah,
the whole thing is dumb. I'm gonna go with BP though.
Yeah, I think you're right. That is the story of the week.
I mean, like
from our perspective, certainly.
From our perspective, it's the story of the week. All right, let's do some good lists.
Yeah.
And I did not make good lists that
tongue in cheek.
That tongue in cheek this week. I tried to do it a little bit more serious.
Mine was serious.
Yeah, well, yours are always a little bit serious.
Well, I actually do try to find something that makes me happy.
All right, what made you happy this week?
I feel like this is like a good game headline because you're probably going to tell me it's not so great. But I just thought, like, why not celebrate our neighbors from the north for still trying a thing as our government shuts down, like, tries to like get rid of space telescopes and shuts down climate. They want to shut down
NOAA. The national, the one that predicts when hurricanes are going to hit. That's the woke one. That's just the one that says, here's the hurricane, here it comes.
But as you're dumping money into AI, which is ostensibly like science adjacent, like why would you not be doubly funding all science? Like the whole thing is just so stupid. But Canada to launch sustainable investment taxonomy in 2026, something that they promised they were going to do just 2 years ago. Setting criteria for the identification of investments that are eligible for a green or transition investment label. So they're just, they're still they're doing normal things. Boring climate.
I don't love taxonomies. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a taxonomy guy.
Let's move on.
But I'll do mine. There are two for me. One is, I saw this headline, Tesla's having a good time at the DMV.
I don't know what that means.
I didn't know what that headline meant.
I actually opened that story and still didn't understand what that headline meant.
Well, it turns out that California won the right to ban the sale of Tesla vehicles in the state because of false advertising around the cars being self-driving.
Well, why only California? I mean, this should be
because
nationwide.
They fought it.
Right.
Because California and Massachusetts is the only place that actually like do with it.
Cares.
Yeah, California basically said, we don't want to license Teslas if they're going to mislead drivers about the fact that their cars drive themselves.
Grow up, Tesla. I mean, this has nothing to do with Elon Musk. Grow up, Tesla.
So they haven't banned Teslas. Obviously, you could still buy a Tesla in California, but they have the right to. I like that what they did was they didn't do the all the way thing and they said all these cars are banned now and then like started a big woke war. What they did was secure themselves the right to ban it when it fails, right? Like then now that what happens is if these self-driving cars like run over a pedestrian, they can say we are no longer licensing new Teslas on the grounds that these self-driving cars are dangerous. I like that. That's good.
Gavin Newsom yesterday basically declaring his intent to run for president in 2028. He's made a lot of his moves there seem good, but also seem, political. That could be a political gesture. He's a politician, of course. All right, what else do you have? What else?
Here's the other one. And I love this. Walmart's women truckers surge thanks to $115,000 starting pay and other perks, bringing in non-traditional candidates.
Okay.
First of all, that women are 50% of the population. Well, I don't know what makes it a non-traditional candidate. does that mean candidates that have been excluded for systematic bias against them are now non-traditional? Like women can drive trucks.
In fact,
just
I
don't
prefer
hire them.
For anyone who's ever driven a car on a U.S. highway, which is probably most people, I would prefer a woman behind the wheel of these massive trucks because the men seem out of control. We always talk about these stupid self-driving cars and automating taxis and robot this and robot that. I don't even know why can't we get the trucks on the highways to limit their speed to the speed limit? That's what I want to know. Like, can't we develop that? But I'm all for. I want them all to be driven by women. I just think that they're
you want everything to be run
kinder
by women,
truckers,
which I'm fine with. I think anybody behind the wheel of a truck does not get kinder. I think they hate their lives.
I think they'll probably be kinder.
But women apparently only make up like 18% of truck drivers nationally, and Walmart has increased it
high.
By 33%.
Wow.
Just simply by giving wages and benefits and saying we accept anybody. It's the wokest thing you can do
is pay your workers
in the Trump
to show
administration to pay workers and look for talent outside of white men. But this is why you do it. Isn't this the ultimate case study? The story is about how there's a shortage of truck drivers for everyone else except for Walmart because they just hire some women. That's it.
Tell me the overlap here. Are you saying that they targeted women in their hiring campaign? Is that what you said? Like, how does it overlap? That what does the starting pay have to do with women? Are they just aggressively seeking out women?
I think they're aggressively seeking. What they did was they expanded the pool of drivers to purposefully include more women, right? Like,
why were they being excluded in the first place? Do we even know? Like, what?
They basically they opened up a program that trains drivers, and they
that sounds woke.
Asked more women to apply. Like they did like smart things, like simple things, saying like, well, there's a whole bunch of talent out there that like doesn't do this job, but could. Why the hell wouldn't we train them to do this job? And then we have like an unlimited pool of talent, and nobody else does. And now they don't have a shortage.
I wonder if the rights of truckers have improved over the years, because I do remember one of the issues when I was a kid. I had a few friends whose dads they drove these 18-wheelers. They like basically never saw their dads. Like,
yeah.
But because they were gone, basically all week. I wonder if those rules have changed. Did they let truckers go home now, or do they still make them drive like 190 hours a week to deliver a rubber ducky?
that one's not a part
anyway,
of the story.
Okay, that's we don't have to vote. They're all fine. Who cares?
They're all fine. All right.
None of those are super great. I don't love trucks on the roads. What happened to freight trains? What happened to not buying as much stuff? All right, go ahead.
I've got three options here, and like in the spirit of old school, I've got some old school kind of options here. Number one is Helge Lund.
Oh yeah, we've talked about Helge several times. Yeah,
Helge Lund. It's not Helga like female name. It's Helge. I don't know how you say it. He's a Norwegian guy. He's the chair of the board of BP.
Wait, he is? I thought no. There's a new chair.
Well, he's stepping down at the beginning of 2026. So there is a new chair elect, I believe.
Yes,
but, But so he, and this is related to the first woman ever, Meg O'Neill, being taken over. There's a quote from the story. O'Neill is, quote, taking over the British energy behemoth at a time when it has fallen behind the other global oil and gas supermajors and was even a potential takeover target earlier this year by rival Shell. So you talked about the glass cliff. Helge or Lund had, according to Free Flow Analytics data on their new platform cards, he had 16% influence over the board, while Murray Auchincloss had 15%, and he was Auchincloss was the CEO. This is not the first time
at
we've
European
seen this.
companies. Yeah,
but it's not common. It's not super common to see the CEO have less influence than a board member from companies in general, and it usually signals that CEO is actually at lives at the mercy of the board. Because it's not common in a company like BP, we have Lund to blame for overseeing not only Auchincloss in the first place, because Helge Lund's been there for 6 years or 7 years, 7 years now. So
just so you know, he left in October. Albert Manifold is now the chair. But he is gone. Yeah.
Well, Helge Lund basically oversaw Auchincloss getting the job in the first place from Bernard Looney, who he oversaw getting Bob Dudley's job.
Yes, that's right, Bob Dudley, who wasn't there that long either, actually.
He was only there for like 2 or 3 years, right? And if you know Lund's name, it's because he was at Novo Nordisk,
right,
overseeing their incredible succession failure. Prior to that, his big claim to fame was he was at Nokia when Nokia basically failed, like the company got bought and like went bankrupt in 2014. He was on that board. I mean, I hate having to celebrate like a first female with this as the backdrop. Like,
at least he's gone.
There's a guy who's basically had multiple board positions, has failed at every single board he's been on to either right the ship, pick a CEO, do the right thing. And he was the chair at Novo Nordisk. He was the chair at BP. These are not companies where he was like, oh, well, I was just the guy who showed up in the audit committee and counted the number of beans that I found, right? Like, this is a guy with the power on the boards. And it's not like, this is the backdrop. I hate it. I hate it.
Well, look, and credit to the shareholders, right? Because Helge would probably still be there without shareholders pushing back, right? Isn't that mostly the reason why he's stepping down?
It is. But also, I know that Meg O'Neill is going to come in and have less influence, likely, than the new chair of the board,
Albert
right?
Manifold.
Like,
yeah. So in 24, this is a high figure for European AGMs, for British AGMs. In April, 24% of shareholders voted against the re-election of the chair, which is
of Lund,
which they're basically calling a get out of town vote, right? Because we said this over and over and over. We do not need to wait for majority votes when it comes to directors. Like when the average, what's the average?
96% for?
When the average is 96% for, when you're getting to like even 10% against, that's major alarm bells. Like things you should be talking about. So when it's 24%, that's basically a get out of town vote.
But here's my point: why, and it's not just Lund, but like I'm going to make him, a nominee for asshole. Like, this is why you should care about the people. This guy has been in charge at 2 separate companies that have 2 massive failures of succession.
Yeah, people don't trace these things, though. They don't follow the threads.
Why do investors not care about who is in charge of this kind of stuff?
I always, sometimes when I describe this company to people and what we do, sometimes I use like Tim Cook as an example. Like, why do we not talk about Tim Cook as also one of the members of the Nike board? Like, why are his decisions on that board not an important part of his career? Like,
exactly.
Why do we
exactly?
Are they not 2 separate people? I mean, so whatever Helge has done at other boards should absolutely be a part of what he's doing at BP. And I think there's you know what it is? There's no mechanism in place for shareholders to make wise decisions, and they've sold all their research to like ISS and Glass Lewis and these bigger firms who do everything by scale, and there's just no ability to kind of get in there unless it's like an activist investor campaign where they have like 40 lawyers probably writing PowerPoint presentations where they can go over, what this director had for breakfast in 1997. They don't know what's going on.
And like, to that point, right? The point of Tim Cook, because we don't look at him holistically, we don't actually say,
never
has the Nike Has his experience on Nike actually been net positive? Nike actually, there's a story this morning about their shares sinking. They have Phil Knight and Travis Knight, the son of Phil, nepo baby Travis, is still on that board. And they the last executive, Mark Parker, the last CEO, stepped into the executive chair role, despite the fact that you have the founder and the founder's son on that board. And the new CEO, like Tim Cook is credited with having found the new CEO. Is that really a well-run machine? What are we doing? Like what? Yeah. Like so. And now Tim Cook's likely to step down at Apple, and we think like he can pick a successor because why? The evidence is
he shouldn't be picking his own successor, but yeah.
The evidence is that the people who suck at a thing in one place, it doesn't mean they're not going to suck at it in another place. Just because Helge Lund looks great on paper, he sucked in 3 separate jobs at the board level. At some point, can he stop having a job? Like, because he's still on the board of another company, like SLB or something. Like, shouldn't every investor look at every board where he is up for election and say, you're not that good at the thing that we need, which is like CEO succession? Well, maybe we're not going to elect you.
The mistake that these boards make across the globe is that he's the former CEO of BG Group, Stat Oil, and another company.
Oil, yeah.
That unfortunately that becomes like a lifetime get out of jail for free card, right? Get on a board for free card. Like once you're the CEO anywhere, that's it. That's it. You're somehow qualified to be in a boardroom, to be the chair.
They managed to check the one little box.
I know, but it's a problem. It's a problem. All right, what else? Who else?
All right, number 2, Sam Altman. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because Sam Altman could be literally the asshole of the year. Like
I think it might be more than that, but go ahead.
But the Sam Altman says thing is just killing me. Here's just the headlines from this week. Sam Altman says he has 0% excitement about being CEO of a public company ahead of the potential OpenAI IPO.
That sounds like bullshit.
Sam, you turned it from a nonprofit into a for-profit company.
In fact, you basically quasi-illegally usurped governance. You kind of almost basically illegally fired directors for firing you because you had your employees believe that OpenAI could only exist because of you. Right? I mean, IPO, now this is like you're not into it. Now you're worried about input from what? From shareholders? From more scrutiny from the public because you have to disclose more? This is what you're upset about? As you IPO, happily spend all this capital? Like, I don't understand.
When they set up fucking
close
don't
the
do
company.
It.
I mean, you complain. Sam, you complain a lot. You worry about AI going off the rails. You worry about a lot of stuff.
Oh,
so why don't you
how about this?
Why don't you work against it? Why don't you slow it down?
Headline? Sam Altman sounds alarm as ChatGPT explodes globally. Rate of change sparks AI anxiety, job fears.
Well, this is the problem, and this is the huge problem that Sam has gotten us all into. In that, because I'm going to call him the leader of this. So a few weeks ago, we reported on something, this stupid code red thing he called, but it's not based in helping humanity, scientific principle, none of that. It's only because we're now in a capitalist war to gain market share for AI. That's all it has to do with. Because really, if you pull back, all of these people should, if we're really going to force AI onto humanity, all these people should be working together. There should be a consortium of brains making this right, making this positive for humanity. But no, it's just a capitalist war to try to dominate the market. Like they want to be like Google, they want to be like Facebook. That's it. Like that's dangerous, Sam Altman. Your code reds are dangerous for humanity.
That, which is another quote from this week. Sam Altman says OpenAI has gone code red multiple times, and they'll do it again.
Well,
right?
So there you go. Right, and the code reds are. I didn't know there were multiple code reds, but they're never about some like. It's never scientific principle of.
Did it, Sammy? Hey, Samo, did you call a code red when a kid killed himself because your engine told him to?
Well,
did you call the?
more than one kid, by the way. There's now
there's
several of these
multiple.
lawsuits. Yeah,
But
there was a
like-
murder-suicide they were reporting about last week. That
They're
suing
talking about
OpenAI.
people have to be institutionalized because the AI is making them effectively hallucinate like the AI does. Like they basically can't tell reality anymore. The AI tells them they're a genius and they start believing it, and then they're having like
rushing
psychotic
ahead.
breaks.
They are building data centers. They're convinced that they've convinced the president to quash like regulation. Like it's crazy. It's out of control.
And even when he tries to like be like a cool CEO, a meme stocky CEO, this is the headline. Sam Altman uses his new image generator to show himself as a jacked fireman with washboard abs with an absolutely hilarious error.
What's the error?
These are teen boys. So teeny Sam makes himself look jacked, holding this fire hose.
College dropout Sam Altman.
In front of like a Christmas, background, and then on the bottom it has a calendar, December calendar. It's supposed to be like a joke, like look what you can do. You can make yourself like a jacked fire.
Stupid.
Except that the calendar for December is from 2022, not 2025. Like the days are all wrong. Like somebody looked at it and was like, wait a minute, that's not this month. What is this?
It's all a waste of time.
But the whole thing, this is the sound the alarm gaslight. And it's not Sam
Well, he doesn't
Altman.
want to be culpable when it all goes to crap.
He's not
He
the
wants
first.
to say, well, I warned you. I warned you I was dangerous.
This is where Musk and Altman diverge, right? This is the Mark Zuckerberg playbook. Zuckerberg spent all of his time saying, please regulate us, and then fighting against the regulation. He'd say, China's encroaching, you can't regulate us, out of one side of his mouth. On the other side, he'd say, we just need clear rules. We need clear regulations so that we don't improperly influence
We can blame you,
elections.
and then we can blame you when it goes wrong.
It is super effective because he gaslights everybody into thinking there's a problem while simultaneously then showing up and fighting against the solution by saying China's going to beat us. If you regulate us, China's definitely going to win. And so there's a government boogeyman in China that you put up, but you look like you're a person of the people and you're really concerned because you're bringing up all these issues. It's a way of never getting regulated when absolutely you need to be regulated.
And I don't want to grind this conversation to an absolute halt, which I'm about to, but let's not forget that these are basically 7 boys who are determining our collective future that none of us have asked for. I mean, maybe humanity wants to maintain autonomy from big data. Maybe we want to make our own decisions, and maybe we want to make our own scientific. We didn't ask for these dudes to come along and save us. I'm not even quite clear what they're saving us from, other than our own sort of free will and destiny and autonomy. What are
half the problems?
No one asked for this.
They literally caused.
No one asked for this,
right? They literally caused half of these problems.
Yeah. All right. So who else? Who else?
And then finally, this one's a deep cut, old school. You're never gonna have heard of this person, and I hadn't either. This is Peter Earle, who's a PhD. He's the director of economics and economic freedom and a senior research fellow at the American Institute for Economic Research.
Whenever you put freedom in the title, I get worried, but go ahead.
Not only freedom, but he said economic literally 3 times in his title. It's so many, he wrote an article. The article is Stop Fixating on CEO Pay Ratios and Start Fixing Labor Markets.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, I'll bite. I'm interested. Maybe I'm thinking about CEO pay ratios wrong.
Sure.
I'm just going to read quotes. Quote, the average employee is hired under conditions of broad substitutability. Many people can competently perform the role with modest training.
Yeah.
The CEO labor market is the opposite. Extremely small, specialized, global, and contingent on track records that can shift a firm's valuation by billions of dollars. The demand curve for top executive talent is steep. The supply curve is extraordinarily thin. Basically, there's a lot of you idiots who are the median employee. There's not very many CEOs.
And let's not forget the subtext there too, is that the CEOs are intentionally creating jobs that can be substituted easily. They're not exactly taking advantage of people's unique abilities. They're creating roles that they can toss away. They can throw away, right? They can lay off a bunch of people easily. None of it matters. Their humanity doesn't matter in any of this.
The CEO matters. He matters. But
the CEO matters, but the role they're creating is a drone role. It's not.
Well, there's going to be drone roles. Let's hear Peter out. Peter goes on to say, quote, skilled executives can influence strategy, capital allocation, risk management, and organizational culture in ways that affect firm performance far more than incremental labor inputs elsewhere in the organization, even if the latter are voluminous. Mm-hmm. If a CEO's decisions add even a few percentage points to long-term returns, the economic value created dwarfs the compensation. Well, basically, CEOs are worth it. That's what he's saying, right? But regular workers are not.
Yeah. Is there any does he go on to prove these theories? Or is he just making a statement?
Well, I wanted to find out. So he says, quote, such a ratio also ignores value creation.
Right. How do we define value? Just
the relevant question is not, is the ratio of worker to executive pay too large, but rather, does the CEO create more value than their talent costs?
What?
He does not at any point in the article say what value creation is other than stock go up. That's the only thing he says.
We're still there.
We're still there. So
boring.
He doesn't mention any other form of value creation. He just says that the firm's valuation goes up, which is effectively market cap, right? That's what you're talking about. This is what Earl himself had to say about CEOs and leadership in 2019. I'm going to quote from another article because I spent half a morning reading fucking Peter Earl's blowhardiness.
Go ahead.
Quote, teams, also companies, organizations, groups, and so on, which experience outstanding success inevitably cite leadership as a factor, often the decisive one, and frequently emanating from a particular individual. But it should come as no surprise that many successful sports teams, firms, and organizations readily identify leadership as the decisive factor in their triumphs. It's a better story than merely having incredible resources and facilities, superior performance, or, as in often the case, simply garden variety luck.
So he's saying that anointing the leader as the one, the reason is just a narrative? Is that it?
He literally wrote an entire article about how the celebrating leadership is false. We should not teams only celebrate leaders after they've won something.
Yeah.
We don't celebrate leaders
that's true.
that have
you
lost.
See that in sports all the time. Yeah.
He uses sports as the analogy. And he says the reason why people win things, the reason why we're celebrating leaders often is just because of luck. So and out of one side of his mouth in 2019, he says fucking CEOs are basically just lucky, right? Just like anybody else. And on the other side, he says there's an incredibly small talent pool of these leaders, and that's why we pay them so much, because they can move the market. Whereas, Joe, who fucking does all of the work, backbreaking labor, gets paid not enough to actually have a living wage, goes home, has to take care of kids, send them to school, all that shit. He's not really worth it. It's not you don't actually add a lot of value to this company. Is the most asinine thing I've ever heard, and cemented me in the fact that the CEO pay ratio is maybe the greatest metric to ever come out of the post-financial crisis. It's the metric that I should care about.
I don't know where to go with all this, because at the same time, CEOs like Musk, not just Musk though, are telling us well, first of all, college education is not important. Education in general is really not that important. Experience is really not that important. He's even saying that saving money is not important. That and work won't be important because we're all going to be rich. So what? And this guy is saying that the people, the workers, really aren't that important. What's the point of humanity other than the people at the very top? What's the point of all of us? What's the point of our existence anymore? I'm a little unclear. Not to mention that you did a story last week. Where at Nintendo in Japan, and Japan has long been known to have extremely low CEO to worker pay ratios. The model there is not to overpay the CEOs. They're one part of a company, and yes, they get paid a little bit more than the others. but that you did a story at Nintendo where the talent retention rate was like 98% or something like that. Like they stayed for 15 years.
Yeah,
so
the average.
So it would suggest something different going on, right? That if you don't treat your CEOs like these lucky kings, that maybe the workers would be happier. Anyway, the whole thing is just.
I mean, like a lot of this guy's stuff, like there's elements of it that I find like I agree with. And then you say something stupid like CEOs are worth it and everybody else isn't. And it's like, look, the gap between us, what we know, what we can say definitively is that there's a bias in who we choose as CEOs because white men represent like a certain portion of the population and they are outrepresented as CEOs. We know that just numerically, purely on chance, which means like we can say definitively that the role of CEO is not chosen for skill all the time. Sometimes, sure, but you can't say that in every case it is. In which case, the CEO pay ratio, like we know that like choosing labor, you are choosing them specifically for the skill, and you make it such that you can fire them when they don't have the skill. But at the CEO's job, you make it as difficult as possible to fire them for not having the skill. You blame it on all sorts of other factors when they don't have the skill, and they still get fucking paid. They're not like irreplaceable. The layer of management below the CEO is probably equally as able to be the CEO as most CEOs.
Let's not forget how small the CEO tenure rate is in Fortune 500 companies. It's like barely above 5. It's like 7 years maybe. And so that would suggest that they should not be credited for the success at the company, right? The long-term success. I mean, how could you ascribe all the value to that role which has such a low tenure? They're not even sticking around long enough to shape the culture.
In that same time frame, the CEO pay ratio has continued to go up. Like, how can you possibly argue? You're saying on one side that the CEO is more and more worth it because the talent pool is smaller, but we can demonstrably say that, that isn't true. The talent pool isn't as small as you think it is, number one. And number two, those CEOs don't create value the way you suggest they do, which is just stock go up. Because once you adjust for all the factors, at least half of CEOs are going to underperform. That's fucking definition.
And as we've tracked with their pay will stay the same.
And their pay still goes up. In fact, you pull on the Proxy Countdown show repeatedly the fact that the bar for a CEO getting a bonus is even if they are in the bottom quartile of all performers in their peer group, the worst group, they still get 75% of their bonus. How do you get a bonus at all?
There is no method of executive pay accountability in the U.S. None. You make that pay package no matter what's happening, no matter how quickly you fail at your job. The only instance where the money gets clawed back is if you create some kind of fraud or some kind of illegal activity. You are getting paid no matter how poorly the company performs. End of story. All right, can we move on?
Yeah, I just want to tell Peter Earl.
Go ahead.
You know what? I want you to spend the next 6 months doing nothing but reading comp plans and proxies, and then tell me.
And maybe read a few novels too.
Maybe
read a few. Why don't you?
All right, those are your options.
Look at Humanity a bit.
It is Helga Lund, Sam Altman for like 90th time, and this guy Peter Earl.
Helga
for
Lund
bullshit
is interesting because we have this director class that constantly gets awarded for failure. No one seems to pay attention. No one knows what's going on. Although it does take it takes an outlier of a shareholder vote to move the needle. So I feel kind of good about that. So I'm going to pass on Helga Lund. Sam Altman. I mean, this could be every week. He's part of a cohort of middle school billionaire dropouts who are shaping our future without our input. So I could vote on him next week. You're going to put him up next week, I'm sure.
Probably.
I'm going to go to Peter Earl because I just like the passionate discussion about. I like what you said about, what did you say, that CEO pay ratios might be the single most important metric.
The most important metric. Come on.
Right. And this is why I suggested on Proxy Countdown that CEO pay ratio could be one of those like numbers in the sand, right? It's like a line that you draw when you're voting for boards. If you set your own threshold, for me personally, it was 100 to 1, but you could go even bigger. If it's above 365 to 1, meaning they make the pay in the first day, no, it's over. Like, I will not support this board.
Honestly,
I will not.
If I'm gonna have a nitpick about CEO pay ratios, I'm gonna say that we should use realized pay over a 3-year period, not summary comp. Like, do you want to get nuanced about it? The summary pay, the pay that they tell you they got is not actually what they took home.
Too.
Over a 3-year period, they take home multiples more.
Yeah,
than
but
that.
you're already having a hard time getting people to pay attention to who sits on the board. Now you want them to look at total realized pay. All right,
all right, Peter Earl, you win this week. All right, let's do some headliniest winners predictions. Mine are short this week on all counts.
Good. I have 2 classic headlineists. Ryanair CEO Michael O'Leary says he plans to step down by 2035.
Yeah, we talked about that on this show. I love that.
You know, I made the mistake. We did a show on this earlier this week. In my head, I thought he was a majority share owner. He only owns 4% of the shares.
He's just the guy. He's just the guy.
This is an announcement that governance is not serious, that the boards are not serious, and that it's up to me. It's up to the CEO when they leave and when they don't leave. My second headline of the week is just a classic for you. This is like an early Christmas gift for you.
I don't know
of a headline.
how I feel about that.
Because I feel like this used to be the kind of the jokes that you used to like back in the day. Chipotle chases the protein craze with new menu items, including meat in a cup. Right?
I'm a hard out on
do
meat
like that
in a
one.
cup.
What can I just before you get to your headline? When I say meat in a cup, describe the cup and describe the meat. What are you picturing? I have a very clear picture here.
Mine is like bigger than a Dixie cup, but you know, like a to-go cup.
Yeah,
like
plastic, like a
waxy
that's what
cardboard cup,
too.
right?
Yeah.
And then like a meatloaf, but shaped like the cup inside it. Yeah,
I'm just thinking disgusting, like ground beef or like just some ground, just like nonsense.
I literally think of like a loaf of meat shaped like the cup inside it.
All right, what do you got?
It's really nasty. All right, my headline is LinkedIn CEO says it's outdated to have a 5-year career plan. It's a little bit foolish considering the pace AI is changing the workplace.
Why is this not assholeiest? This is the worst. So
it is the worst.
What should people worry about? So I'm going to add this to the list. So, and don't forget that what we didn't cover on the Friday show was McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczinski telling us that nobody cares about you. But you,
yeah, he
right?
did say that. Yeah.
He said he wanted to give some tough career advice that nobody cares and no one's going to help you.
Deal with it yourself.
Deal with it. And I'm sorry if this hurts your feelings. So now we've learned that we don't have to graduate. We don't have to go to college. We don't need to save money. We're not going to be working. We don't need to make a career plan. What else? No one cares about us. We shouldn't be like fighting we shouldn't be fighting for like women or people of color in the workplace. We shouldn't do anything. We shouldn't care about anything. This is it. This is where we're at. 2025.
That's where we're at. Don't make a plan.
I mean, they really. This is why it's moments like this where I wish we had a bigger audience because these are the these are the threads that people don't put together who cover the business news either from the left or the right. There is this incredible effort from the CEOs and leaders in our corporate world to just make people care about nothing, right? To have no hope, to do nothing.
Well, he did give some advice as part of this.
Go
on
ahead.
a podcast he got quoted, and his advice was,
who is this guy, by the way? What's
his name is Ryan Roslansky.
Okay.
His advice was, rather than focusing on a 5-year plan, because 5-year plans, everything changes so much, it's a little silly. He said, quote, I would recommend people focus on maybe the next few months and a couple things that aren't a plan, but rather,
stressful.
What do you want to learn? What type of experiences
but don't go to college.
do you want to get?
But don't go to college.
Can you imagine if we all just thought like 2 months ahead instead of
really stressful.
Like, imagine, like, well, I don't need to plan for retirement because I can only think 2 months ahead.
Like, this is a guy who's been at LinkedIn since 2009.
He didn't have a 5-year plan, clearly.
But I'm saying, like, and he's also, to your point, I'd have to check freeflowanalytics.com, but it looks like he's on the board of Intuit too. So if you want to trace this guy and follow this guy and vote for your favorite CEOs, there you go.
You can vote him off because this is a man who does not think anybody should have a 5-year plan. So being a board member is kind of antithetical to that, isn't it?
I mean, he's telling people, and one of the things that they sell
I love
on
that
LinkedIn,
I triggered you with my headline.
But one of the things they sell on LinkedIn too is like job ads, right? Although there's been a lot of reports that a lot of these ads are fake. Like there's like, but so he wants you to come to build your network on LinkedIn, but not have a plan for your career.
Yeah,
while you search for a job, like what? Like I'm just telling you, like. They just want us all to give up. I don't understand. Like what?
They made all the money already. What they're saying is we made all the money already. Well, the only thing that can happen is we lose some of our money to you. Like we have to give it back to people because we get taxed or because like there's revolution in the streets. We have to, like you look up and you realize that we have all the money. You don't have any. If you give up, you're not paying attention to the fact that we have all the money already. That's the way that works, right?
I don't even like the part that triggered me is not that the 5-year career plan is outdated. It's this insipid next comment that he said it's a little bit foolish.
Yeah, it's a little foolish now.
Yeah.
It's foolish. You're a fool.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the part that really triggered me. By the way, on the Intuit board, which is another one of these fake public companies, that 66% of the influence is controlled by Scott David Cook, who's been on the board since 1984. That's the first term of the Reagan administration. Ryan Roslansky has 1% of board influence. So he's really just there just to hang around, get some bagels, get some equity.
In his multiple board roles,
there for no reason.
He's got a whopping 373 TSR batting average. So that's a guy you can.
Well, I hope
that's what you know what not having a 5-year plan looks like. It looks like a 373 TSR, a 408 earnings, and a 375 overall batting average.
But it also sounds like that this is someone who actually has sat down and made career plans, right? Because probably being on a board was part of his career. But it's foolish for any of us to kind of get into that world. All right, let's. You triggered me. Let's move on.
Yeah, I know. Who's your winner for the week?
I have actually a very straightforward, positive winner, and I'm still kind of shocked and surprised. But all the powerful women at BP, I know, like I'm not aligned completely with their business practices, but I don't even care. I just can't believe how many powerful women there are at BP in the leadership team and on the board. Like, what the hell? How did that happen?
Well, I have a better winner,
and
that is 4-year career plans.
That might also be pushing it, though. That might be a bit foolish because you said that he said to look at like the next few months.
He said to look at the next few months, but I do think that the move will be short career plans. I think that's the winner of the week. Somebody, there's a 100% chance that within the next week, someone on LinkedIn will say, "Do you need help crafting a 6-month career plan?" Like I'm very excited for that moment, and I can ignore that person. Predictions.
Oh, God. My prediction, David Ellison, that's the baby Ellison, cancels his Netflix subscription. That seems obvious, right? Because he's pissed.
Yeah.
And then hires Erica Kirk to run programming at Nickelodeon and MTV. Because why not, right?
That actually makes sense to me.
For children and for music. I could see her.
Speaking of Nepo babies, we often forget that Trump was a Nepo baby. Nobody talks about him like as our biggest Nepo CEO, right?
Yeah, that's for sure, yeah.
All right, here's my prediction. My prediction is Ryanair CEO Michael O'Leary steps down in 2035, becomes executive chair. And pledges to step down as executive chair by 2057. That's my prediction.
Can I add that Ryan Lozinski is a dropout of the University of California, Davis?
So he doesn't triggered by this.
To his point, you don't need. He
need college,
so you don't need to take anything seriously. Like you'll just You'll just end up being rich, right?
You'll just be rich. Just like Ryan Roslansky or whatever his name is.
I mean, really, the common thread of all this is highly triggering. Like, it's just, right? I don't know what's happened, but I don't like
That's
it.
Hazel
That's all I'm gonna
Navralis. I'm your analyst, Old Man Muscardi. We are Free Float. Next week, I think we're going to have a show on Tuesday, but then we're off.
Why? I'll do it on Christmas. Come on, let's do it.
I won't be here, so
I don't like
you could do it on your own on Friday.
Come on, let's do it.
Otherwise, come back sometime after the holidays. Just keep checking your feed. We'll be around. Until then, good. Bye.